Alrighty guys, we have a special guest here today, the only Claire Grammer for Judge, Randall County Court of Law number 1. Claire is for 21 years built a successful legal career, and she's full of integrity and just overall a good person. Let's introduce Claire Grammer.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
So, I guess kind of introduction, like, are you born and raised here? Or?
Actually, originally my whole family is from Booker. My dad has a ranch up kind of north of Canadian, and I guess it was probably back in the 80s when he decided that he was going to go to law school. Mm-hmm. So we packed our family up, we left the family ranch and farm, and we moved to San Antonio where my mom's family lives, and I watched my dad work so hard to build a successful legal practice. And he was really one of the first people in his family to go and get an advanced degree. And I don't know, it really created, for me, it created a sense of like, that work ethic is so important because that's something no one can take from you, your faith, your family, your friends, and your education. Like those are the things that are really important in our family, like for our values.
Right.
And so after he graduated from law school, we moved back to Amarillo so we'd be closer to the farm and to my paternal grandparents.
Yes.
And he started his own firm, and I watched him build it and grow. And he had such a love for his practice, and he still practices to this day. Bill Hamker is his name. And just such a good example that he set for me. And then as I went through college, I went to UT for undergrad, University of Texas at Austin. And then I went to Oklahoma for law school. And then nobody wants to come back to Amarillo. You know, you're like, I'm never moving back. But I was intrigued by the fact that job market was so bad everywhere else that Amarillo actually had a pretty good thriving legal market.
Yes.
And so I got licensed in Oklahoma in 2005 as an attorney, and I worked for the district attorney's office. I loved trying cases. It was really a fun, and plus it's a big city of over 1 million people, so I got to see lots of different cases. I spent time in the white collar crime division. I spent time in their gang unit. Really got to have a well-rounded prosecution experience. And then when I moved here to Amarillo, I started with the Potter County Attorney's Office and kind of started working my way through the public service positions here. And then I got a job working for Randall County for James Farron, who was an amazing boss, amazing person to work for. It was just such a good office to really kind of grow as a lawyer and learn how to be integral. But the court that I'm running for right now, which is funny, Judge Anderson, he's one of the longest sitting court judges that we've had here in Randall County, and even in Texas. He's been on the bench, I think, for 28 years and just announced his retirement. But I was one of his court officers for 8 years, so I did all of his juvenile dockets and prosecuted DWIs and domestics and basically managed the docket for the DA's office, but he oversaw the cases. So I felt like I learned so much from him, and he was such a good mentor that whenever he announced his retirement, I prayed about it and I thought, what a good opportunity to really be able to put my skill set to work and be able to go back into a public service position. Because I think I left the DA's office in about 2018, 2019, right before COVID, and built my own practice, which was a lesson, again, that God's in charge, not me, because during COVID, everything was crazy. Like it was hard to find work. It was hard to have clients. They weren't doing trials. I actually got to do one of the first jury trials during COVID, and we all had to wear masks and a face shield with all of our jurors. And it was a family divorce case.
The human look.
It was, but you know, you could, and I think we had microphones too, because you couldn't hear.
Yeah. Because
the way the courtroom is set up, you're sitting at a table with a microphone, but you had to get up and go show your exhibits manually and do all these things. But in order to protect the lawyers, the judge, and the jury, you know, it just is a testament to how COVID changed things so fast.
Oh yeah, it's hard to adapt to,
especially for a profession like mine, where you had to talk to people and you have to have people in and out of your office. Like a lot of people shut things down completely. I was not in a position where I could do that because it was a brand new business. So
That's kind of crazy. That was the one thing that was still kind of going on during COVID, where everything was so shut down.
Well, you have to have, during COVID, you still have to have a legal opportunity to have your cases go through the system, whether it's a criminal case, a civil case, like a car accident, or, CPS cases, they have time limitations. You only have a year to work these cases. So the legal community had to figure out really fast how we were going to manage less interhuman connection, interhuman interaction.
Does that go pretty good for like the long time, or do you think that setup was?
I feel like for about a year, the legal community really utilized Zoom technology to the point we almost kind of got to where it was almost hard to go back. I think going back after about a year, I was really excited about it because I think Zoom takes a lot of the interpersonal opportunity out of things. But even with Zoom hearings, I still had to meet with clients outside of Zoom hearings, you know what I mean? And some lawyers didn't. Some lawyers were really hardcore. They're like, I'll meet with you over Zoom. But for me, the way you get to know people is by really sitting with them and getting to know them, because there's so much that's lost when you're looking at a computer screen.
Just all the facial expressions and like, I don't know.
I think also people are less hesitant. They're more hesitant to tell you true factual experiences, which is what a lot of the law is built upon. Like, if someone has committed a crime, they don't necessarily want to tell you their life story and the incident that happened that they've been accused of while you're just staring at a computer. It felt very, very impersonal.
I can see that.
And then I'd worked, because private practice was new to me at that time, back then in 2019 and 2020, I did a lot of the indigent defense. I went to all the outlying counties in the 24 county region, and I asked the local judges if they would put me on the list to be considered as court-appointed attorneys. Since I had so much experience from the prosecution, like I tried a couple murders, I tried a couple of sexual abuse cases and domestics from a prosecutorial perspective, I was really interested in representing a different side. And it was so eye-opening because you see these people and you see these clients that have had really, really hard lives. And a lot of the reason why the crimes that were occurring were either drug-induced, lack of resources for mental health, and other reasons, but at the same time, or poverty. But it also kind of instilled in me an appreciation for our Constitution, because the very same right that exists for me to have a lawyer appointed if I can't afford one exists for you and for Mr. Smith and Susan Jones and anybody that's accused of something. They get their day in court, and we're so lucky to live in a country that is, it's a tantamount importance. And our Constitution allows it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Innocent to proven guilty.
Yes, and those charging documents don't make you guilty. And I found a different, you just find it's really different to do. It's the same job. Now your client's the one getting prosecuted, so you see how they're doing that job that you used to do, and you're doing a different job where you're defending them and advocating for them. And even if they are guilty, you want to make sure they get treated fairly or that they have the best defense that they can have. And I enjoyed it, and it was a really good experience as far as learning how to deal with people too.
Yeah.
Because some of the people were very grateful, some of them were not. And so it helps you kind of realize that the world we live in is not one size fits all. And that's one thing I think is good about my experience, my background for being in a judicial position, is that I'll be able to hear cases, and after spending 21 years advocating for either prosecution or for defense or for families, like I also do a lot of family litigation. I do divorces and custody and child support, protective orders, all the different things that I've done. But instead of advocating, I'll be able to view it from, I kind of used the term earlier, like an umpire position. And so you get to see the game being played, or not necessarily the game, but you get to see the presentation of evidence, the lawyers advocating for both of their sides, and then you get to make discerning decisions as to what's either in the best interest of children or what we believe the facts are as the fact finder.
Yeah, I think, with you being the assistant for the current judge also gives you an advantage in a sense of courage and boldness, and it kind of sets you aside to now where you can focus on your objective instead of trying to get, the muscle or the stamina to, even stand up to that position. You can basically already see yourself in that position now. The things that you have that you want to carry out, you can do those steadily because you already know what it takes to hold that foundation.
Well, and I was so lucky to work underneath him and be his court officer and like work in his court to see how he ran it. And he was always, this guy, Judge Anderson has 10 kids. So he is a man of great patience.
You can say a man's man.
He is a man's man. But I think that he always used he was always really patient, he always was very respectful. And I think that's one of the things that's so important, especially coming out of a post-COVID era, is we've kind of lost that interpersonal respect for people and everyone's kind of angry all the time. Have you noticed that?
Yes, who can't stand to put out fair judgment when at home you have to mentor so many people, a community within his own home, and to be able to do fairness and bring these people up. I know all of them got different attitudes and stuff, So, the community, he had good home practice at home.
This is true.
Every day, so I know he's always on point. You got this person over here acting like this, these two act this way, and he have his home in a balance, and so he set out and did it within the community.
And he did. He really did care so much about making sure the litigants and the people that were in front of him had the opportunity to say what they needed to say, and made sure and ensured that they were doing so respectfully. And so that's something I hope to carry on and really be able to have that opportunity to do as well.
Mentioning that you're a mother yourself.
Yes, I have 4 kiddos. They're great kids. When you look back at your life and you think, what is the best thing I've done in my life? And that's definitely been their mom.
Yes.
You watch them grow, you teach them as much as you can, you hope and pray that they'll find their true north and love God and do well and be good humans.
Yes.
And so I think that my 4 kids, they're all really, 2 of them are in high school, one of them's in elementary school, actually 2 are in elementary school, one's in pre-K and one's in 5th grade. So we've kind of got a big age gap. But whenever I think about my free time, you just want to be with your family.
You do.
And I always think,
kind of build yourself back.
yes, you build yourself back up with your family, and even if it's hard to manage sometimes, you know that it's the most worthwhile thing, and hopefully they can go forth and do good.
Okay, your life partner, what's his name?
My husband's name is Jonathan. We've been married for 20 years this upcoming January. I know.
Nice.
It's exciting. We've made it so far.
Yeah.
Behind every good woman, there's a great man.
I know, and vice versa.
I've been saying that so long, it's so common the other way.
But you know what? It's the truth both ways. You have to have a partner that supports you, and I've supported him.
Yes.
And we've both been, and he's a lawyer also.
Yes.
He's a lawyer by training, but not necessarily by trade. So now he's an entrepreneur and he's actually a landman. But it's been such an interesting life together too, because we went to law school together and actually met and married after law school, but you still have that same background. And some people will ask, they'll be like, do y'all argue? And I'm like, oh, sometimes, and it's usually not fun because
2 lawyers just going at it.
2 lawyers trying to be
Oh, man.
professional arguing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything, and
Oh, man,
I'm grateful.
That is exciting. Because we can see you, so like if you're married, it's evident that you have a great supporter behind you.
Yes, he always has been very supportive. And it's also really funny because our kids have picked up the way we speak sometimes to each other. And so our kids are little advocates. They are, like, if we tell them no on something, they usually have a 10-point presentation
Oh, my
that they're going to
gosh.
tell me why they're needing this or they're needing that, or we should do this for vacation. vacation, or why they shouldn't have to do their homework or take a bath.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like I've raised little lawyers.
They are.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And my husband and I will laugh. We'll be like, "Oh, we're outnumbered. It's 2-4. It's 4-2. They're killing us."
Case closed, Mom and Dad. We're staying up tonight.
I mean, some days I feel like that. Some days I feel like I'm on the losing end of the argument, the oral argument with my children. But
I was going to ask on both sides, do you like the prosecuting side more? Like, now that you've done both, is there a good side?
I absolutely love being a prosecutor because I love the office environment. You have a lot of people around you. You had older, not older, but like you had people that had more experience than you. It was so nice to be able to go and be like, what do you think about this issue, the search and seizure issue? Or what do you think about this fact pattern in this case that I'm prosecuting? And what would you do? Or what would you think? Or what would you say would be a fair offer to make for a plea bargain? You know, and in private practice, you don't really have that. Cindy Barella Graham and I office next to each other, and she's a family litigator pretty much she also has a background in criminal and family, but she, right now at this point in her career, has created a very good practice for primarily family cases. And I still ask her lots of stuff, but it's just her and I, and and then her support staff. Sometimes I'll ask them questions, but at the DA's office, you kind of developed a relationship with everybody that was like a big dysfunctional family, you know. We all put the fun in dysfunction. I used to laugh about it because I mean, it was like kind of like you all eat in the same lunchroom. Like it was a very open environment, and you just made really good friends. And some of those people that I've worked with, they've gone into private practice, like Diana Hathaway, like I was telling you, like I met her at the DA's office and we tried cases together, but now she's in private practice and I'm in private practice, but I'll still call her from a collegiate standpoint and be like, listen, I've got this going on, what do you think? Or she can call me. And I really love that about our legal community in Amarillo, is that it's not a huge community, but it's a close knit.
Yes. So,
But I liked both jobs. But I feel like right now, after all this is something new that I want to try. I think being in a judicial position is going to be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I won't know everything in the beginning, but the good thing is I'm not afraid of hard work and I'm not afraid to learn. And so those are things that I think you have to have as a new judge, especially a younger incoming.
well, it's encouraging for you to see the guy who can be working for weather the storm and watch him standing and then come up out of it, then stand up straight. I made it.
He did, and you know, I don't know if I could do what he did for 28 years, but we'll just have to see. I'm going to take it one day at a time, and I'm going to prayerfully ask for discernment. And I know that Judge Anderson has loved his job, though, because he always executed it with a good demeanor most of the time.
Yes.
I mean, there are definitely days I saw him not so happy, but at the same time, I think that's normal because we're humans having to make decisions for people's cases. And that's why this court is so important. You're making decisions as to what's in children's best interest. You're making decisions as to what's going to be in someone's best interest. If a plea agreement's fair, should I accept this plea agreement? Has somebody been railroaded, or were they treated fairly by the DA's office, and did their lawyer advocate for them appropriately?
Yeah. So, just approaching it as a prosecutor, you go in like with strictness, no room for breathing room. But as the case go on, do you see yourself like kind of giving some type of leniency to the point where you do like offering a shorter sentence, or you can see them getting a shorter sentence?
Usually, I mean, the way the system works is if you're charged with a crime and through the district attorney's office of the county that the crime was allegedly committed, the district attorney's office makes the offers. The judge doesn't usually get to do that unless it's a blind plea, or you ask the judge to sentence you because you don't want to come to an agreement with the prosecution. The defense and the prosecution don't have an agreement. There's also the possibility of juries. Juries also assess punishments. And in the state of Texas, we have the rules, our criminal code of procedure.
Doesn't the plaintiff kind of encourage the sentence?
You mean like a victim in a case?
Yes, to their attorney.
Well, victims usually aren't represented in a criminal prosecution. Usually you have the district attorney's employee, an assistant district attorney, and a criminal defense attorney advocating for the accused. Since you represent the state, the victim isn't technically your client, but you're advocating for a fair and healthy outcome for that victim as well as the community. You want your community to be safe. My court, the county court at law number 1 does primarily DWIs, misdemeanors, domestic violence, class A, first offenders, things like that, like criminal mischief, criminal trespass, some of the smaller class A and B misdemeanors. Like the district judges that are over county courts at law, they do all the felony, they oversee all the felony prosecution and defense. And so that's where you see a little bit more, it elevates it to a different level. But in cases where there has been, I'll just use like, let's say it's a manslaughter or something like that. You have a family that has lost someone because of someone's bad driving or because they ran a red light and they had been smoking weed or whatever had happened that family wants justice. And so usually what happens in those scenarios is the prosecution will meet with the victim's family or the victim themselves and say, what do you believe is fair? We want to get your input, but ultimately the decision will rest with the state on what kind of offer to make, you know? And if the accused wants a jury trial, he's innocent until he's proven guilty, you know? Like, so he has the right under the Constitution to have his right to a jury and confront the witnesses that have brought a case against him. So it's kind of, the way the system works, it's so special.
Yes.
And very few countries have the system the way we do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Cutting off hands.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Throwing them in the pits, feed them to the lions.
It's rough.
We are so lucky.
We are.
Yes, we are.
Through the years, being everywhere that you've been with your experiences, have you ever had, I don't know if you, cases where it's kind of made you step back and kind of question, if this is still what you want to keep doing?
Oh, that's such a hard question.
Yeah. I don't know.
In the time span that I worked for the district attorney's office, the 15 years, I also had the opportunity to do what they call child protection cases. The district attorney's office was charged by statute, by legislature's rules, we have to represent CPS in cases where kids are abused or neglected, and they have to be removed from their families. I think that was probably the biggest learning curve of anything, especially as a new mom.
Oh, yeah.
It was so hard. You would have babies being born at the hospital that were positive for meth, and you're like, oh, how can a mother do this? But it's addiction,
Yes.
The average mother would never use drugs while she's carrying a child. But then you had the problem where some of these women would leave their babies at the hospital without the intent to return, and then we would have to place them into the system. We would have to take state custody. And so those cases really just broke my heart a lot. And then there were also cases where families just didn't take care of their kids because they were using drugs or because they were engaged in criminal activity that put their children at risk. And so you really, those cases I think were really the most difficult things that I did while I was working for the district attorney's office, because you see these kids that love their parents, but their parents are using drugs around them and making them positive for meth, which can kill their liver, kill their lungs.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these kids will grow up and have significant health issues because of growing up in a trailer there where meth was cooked.
Yes.
And, stuff like that. But they still loved their parents. They still wanted to see their parents.
Yeah.
And in so many of the cases, those parents never got better, so you ended up having to terminate the parent. It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
You would have to terminate the parents' rights because they never would take the steps to get clean and get better. And so then you have these kiddos that you just would pray would find forever homes. And some of them did. Many, many children. We got to see a lot of beautiful foster families come and find these kids and pour into them and help them heal their trauma. But then there's kids that I know that didn't always have that same story. And then there were kids that would go back to their families and then it would happen again. And that was even more heartbreaking. You're just breaking these cycles.
Yes.
And I just, as a person that that loves God, and that you just want people to get better and you want things to change. But then you realize you can't control any of it. All you can do is the best you can do. And so every day I would just pray, God, give me the patience, the fortitude to know what's right, what's wrong. And sometimes you would be angry. Like, I think that was probably a good learning experience too. Like, cause you'd be so mad. You'd be
I
like,
want to say it gave you a driven purpose. It built this driven purpose in you with you seeing all of this.
but really, Marcus, that's why I want this court so much, because this court does get to see those cases. And a lot of people don't think about it, like that can't be happening in our town, but it does. And I
Oh,
know it does.
absolutely.
I've seen it. And I know that the lives, again, I've got goosebumps, but the lives that this court can affect and improve, and if we hold people accountable and we give them resources and lift them up and hopefully create something that people feel like is real and that they get to be a part of, and like that instrumental change can happen. And I think Judge Anderson was good about that. He'd be like, probation's a gift. Don't come back or you'll be sorry. You know,
Yes.
he said stuff like that. And I hope that I can be that kind of a judge where I have that kind of strength to be like, I'm giving you an opportunity to show me that you can do this. And if you come back with another DWI, you're going to go to jail. Like, you know, and he would tell people that very clearly, and not in a mean way, but in a very honest, accountability seeking way. And then whenever it happened, whenever somebody came back, he'd be like, told you. Don't, it's not my fault. This is on you.
Yeah. Now you're standing in your own conviction.
And I feel like for him, his cases were more than just numbers, because this is a high volume court. It's a very high volume court. And I think that being able to manage those numbers, I have the energy to do that, but I also think being able to address the issues and hopefully implement positive outcomes and help people maybe not want to come back.
Yes.
You know, and I believe strongly in the juvenile system too. Like I was his juvenile prosecutor. I remember he always had his juvenile dockets on Thursdays, and I would always love Thursdays because that was the day you would get to talk to the kids attorneys, the kids' parents, and you really had an opportunity. I would tell the kids and their attorney, I'd be like, this is your program to work. You get to take ownership of it. And then the judge would tell them, we're going to let you be on juvenile probation for 18 months, and this is your chance to get it together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you would be so grateful when you see these parents get resources, the kids would get resources, and then you wouldn't see them come back. And that really decreases recidivism as adults. And so I think that's where we really need to put focus on is our juvenile system. Because kids are going to make mistakes, they're going to make bad choices, especially in the world they live in. Everybody has a phone. You can do something bad on your phone in 2 seconds.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that helping educate parents, kids, so I think that that's another thing about this court that is so important is the juvenile services that it provides. And I mean, really, I think that's another one of the most important things I think the court does.
Yes, ma'am. I work at North Heights, so I know, I see
Oh,
those
yes.
kids.
Oh.
And I think that's so important that y'all guys do, especially at a younger age, because you see the cycle, you know, and over and over. We just hope to break it, like when you're younger, so they won't have to deal with all the stuff when
It's kind of working with a lot of people that you filter out through the system that you find promise in. You can do this. And a lot of these people come to him in his school.
And that's us as educators, we're trying to make that at a younger age, so that they don't have to deal with all the stuff when they go through and stuff.
And you know what? All you can do is keep working at it. And if you've helped one person, you've done your job. And that's what I would tell myself all the time. And I would always be so glad when I'd see kids that were grown, they'd come up and they'd be like, do you remember me? And I'd be like, I did remember you.
Same thing with me in public. Hey, Mr. Drake. I said, somebody's calling you. All those kids there.
But you know, they'd be like, thank you so much. I did not go down a path of marijuana and drugs, and I am running track at WT, and I am so happy that you encouraged me and my parents to take those resources and do better.
And that's what makes the job worth it.
I know.
Yeah, like just seeing the good.
You see good stuff. You really do get to see good stuff. And sometimes you see Randall County mugshots. Sadly, I'm a victim. I love to look at it. But, I'll see people and I'm like, oh, that was one of my kids that I handled. And it just breaks your heart. You're like, he never got out of it. Or maybe his mama never pushed him enough. I don't know. But I'll be darned if I see anybody that I hope and pray all the time that I don't see people that I dealt with in the past.
Sometimes we gotta fall a few times.
I know.
No, that's.
Well, and I represented defendants. I don't do as much anymore just because I got off the court appointed lists after COVID, just because driving so much got to be, it was a lot.
Yes.
But I would tell clients all the time, this case does not define you. How you move forward from this case is what defines you. This is a learning point in your life, and how you choose to manifest forward is totally your call. And you're not a victim here. You're making a decision to take a plea agreement, to be on probation and successfully complete it. Use this time to make yourself better. And even clients that would take time in prison, I'd say, make the most of it. You have an opportunity right now, because a lot of the people would be like, this is the worst thing that could happen to me. No, the worst thing that could have happened is you'd be dead.
Yeah.
And your family would be burying you.
It's different types of reform when you get.
Yes, but a lot of them a lot of our clients had gotten their GEDs, and whenever they would get into the halfway house, they would be successful and find jobs, and they would have the opportunity to go do things like, they offer programs to learn how to be an electrician, how to do woodworking.
Yes.
And I don't know. And I've seen a lot of those clients come back too. Some of them will come back and hire you for family stuff after they've, reformed.
Yes.
And they'll hire you and they're like, I want to get custody of my daughter back, or something like that. And that's been an interesting thing too, to see people over 20 years come back into your life in different capacities,
Yes.
which is bizarre.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I've even represented people that I've prosecuted. Isn't that crazy? One of my clients came back and he said, you were so hard on me, but we got my life together. I want you to represent this family member for me. I mean, I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't hate me, but I'm glad that I can help your family.
He said, that's the best woman I ever got, and I learned my lesson. I guess.
Well, and it was, I don't know, it's a telling moment when someone that you have been in an adversarial position with for a reason that they deserved, that they came back and asked for help from you because they felt like you treated them fairly, you helped them, and now they want that for the person that they care about.
Yes. Yes.
I was gonna ask, so as a prosecutor, it's more black and white, and then I guess more of a private practice, you could kind of more sympathize because you get to know the person more, like on a personal level.
It's kind of hard to differentiate when prosecuting is for the state. You get the cases, you get your files, you have the black and white, you have your docket. It's either set for a trial, it's set for a plea, you have to work it and you have to move those cases through, right? You don't have a lot of time to get to know, most of your witnesses are police officers.
Oh.
So you get to know your police officers, and then your victims you get to know. And usually we would have victim advocates that would help them and make appointments for them to come in and talk to us before a trial so we could prepare them for their testimony or whatnot. But, and so you did get to know people, but at the end of the day, no matter what happened, whether I lost a case or I won a case, I knew as long as I'd done the best I could and did my job, that I could sleep at night. And there were times when I did lose cases that I thought I was going to win. And I'd be like, oh, it's horrible for this kid that the jury didn't believe that he'd been molested, And that was a case that I tried that I just was sure I would win because there was physical evidence, there was testimony that was really powerful, a therapist that had testified.
Oh, man.
I know, but it was one of those cases where I don't know, it was that all it takes is one person out of 12 to say, I don't think he's guilty. And then after 12 or 18 hours of deliberation, the jury's finally like, well, if you can't come to, we don't get to know what the jury says. You never really get to know, but you could talk to them afterwards a little bit and they'll tell you, they're like, that nobody liked that counselor. They didn't think that he really served the needs of that kid, or people will say things, and so it really comes down to, does the jury like the witness, does the jury like the victim, does the jury like what was presented, and how it's almost like TV kind of, but not really. But I mean, there were also cases that I never thought I would have won. I remember a domestic violence case where she had originally been the offender and hurt him, then they'd gotten back together. And then he hurt her, and I was like, this case is gonna, but no, he wouldn't take a plea. He wouldn't take a deal, right? And I was like, I can't, from a prosecutorial standpoint, you can't not proceed on cases because there's also risk associated with repeat offenses, you know? Like, she's already hurt him, he's already hurt her. What if the next time one of them goes crazy and shoots each other and then they kill other kids? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that to happen. You have to hold people accountable. I mean, we look on the news every day and you look at murder suicides and things like that. And so I was like, I have to try this case. This is not one that I can just let go because they're both, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't make a call on it. And the jury convicted him and gave him 68 years because he was double enhanced. And I'd offered 8 years to the attorney, and his attorney was like, he's not taking anything. And I was like, okay, well, I have to try it then. And so in preparation for trial, you can amend your indictment to include the prior convictions. And I mean, the guy you kind of feel a little bit bad, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to waste my time trying a case unless I know that I have a punishment range that's going to protect this woman and keep these people away from each other, hopefully forever.
Yeah.
As a prosecutor, do y'all try to just get them to take the plea from, or do you want to take it to trial? Or
You just want your cases to move. And you really and truly, what you do is you get your offers out. As a prosecutor, you would always send your offers out to whoever had been either assigned as indigent defendants, would get assigned court-appointed counsel, or alternatively, if they'd hired someone privately, you would send your offer out. It used to be through email. Now they do it through a system called TextShare. You share it like through a portal. The whole world is moving to portals, I feel like now.
Oh, yeah.
But we actually used to have case files with like discs, like CDs, you know what I mean? Like now everything's uploaded into this huge server. But that was the old days, right? Like back in the 90s, you didn't have those big servers. It was just, you really used DVDs that were burned from whatever dash cam video they had. So, what was I going to say? Oh, but you don't want to try cases unless you have to, in my mind, because that's not judicial efficiency. You want to be able to resolve cases fairly with plea bargains. If people want to accept responsibility and take that offer, that's great. If people want to roll the dice and wanted to gamble on their case, I have no control over that. You have the constitutional right to go to trial. And so those cases were usually the ones that you could not plead. And there was the occasional case. In my office, there were lawyers that were like, this case is so bad we can't offer anything. But that was usually a decision that was our first assistant would make it, or the criminal chief would make it, or our boss would make that decision. Because sometimes, not that they didn't trust prosecutors, but if something bad happens on cases like that, the elected official's responsible. Like, not responsible like it's his fault that the person reoffended, but Mr. Farron always wanted to make sure if there was a case that we had a repeat offender, that we were making sure that we were protecting our community, because it reflects poorly on him. Not to mention, we all hear stories about, well, their DA didn't do anything about this and they just let these people out. And Randall County has been historically a very safe county, and I attribute that to Mr. Farron and Mr. Love. And I was so lucky to work under both of them, because you really get to see the value of keeping your community safe. Because there's a lot of really good people that live in our community, but then there's also a handful of really bad ones that will steal. And just not too long ago in our neighborhood, somebody came in and did smash and grabs, and all the cars that were parked in front of houses. And not many people keep a weapon in their car, but one of our neighbors is a physician, and so he works these crazy hours and he's getting in and out of his car, but he had his just a pistol in his glove box, just probably personal protection, but someone stole it. And then that's, when you get a stolen firearm, that's a bad deal, because you
don't know if it's a body or what.
I know. And so he really was worried about it. And of course, I'm in private practice now, and he was like, what should I do? And I'm like, of course, report it stolen. And you just give that advice I would give that advice to anybody.
Yes.
And plus, he was upset because his window had been broken. I mean, it's just sad that people do that, but those are usually people hitting licks for dope. They're trying to find something expensive in a car. Did a lady leave her purse? Did she leave an iPad? Can I go pawn it? And then they pawn it, and they get a couple of days of party time, sadly.
So to kind of backtrack just a little bit, like with people that are in court that you're either defending for things like that. I don't know if you're able to kind of give your opinion on it or not. Do you think, like, I don't know how to word it without it sounding bad. Do you think like sexism is still a big problem in the courtroom or like in the justice system?
Oh, you mean like as
Like,
far as like being treated fairly as a female attorney?
Yes, and like clients themselves, kind of like like everyone's like, oh, like Texas is a mother state or things like that. I don't know how exactly to word it, but
I think I know what you're asking. I think that in the past, those stereotypes were probably more true. I have seen a shift just in the in the 8 years I've practiced. I feel like the legislature in our family code says parents should be joint managing conservators and co-parent together, hopefully in a healthy way, so your kids grow up with getting to see and have access to both parents.
right.
I think that's the healthiest thing for kids, because kids are the best part of mom and the best part of dad.
Yes.
And that's what I tell all my clients.
awesome.
Yeah, but it's true. And that's what I tell a lot of my clients. If you want somebody to die in a fire, you've got the wrong lawyer, because what I'm going to really encourage you to do is learn how to co-parent. I'm going to try and keep your partner accountable to co-parent with you through their lawyer. I'm going to try and get you the resources that you need to become a healthy person, because right now I think you might be depressed or whatever. But I really do feel like it's evidentiary based. Like, obviously the best interest of the child is always the most important thing. So if you have a parent that's using drugs or making unsafe choices, I see it more in younger people that haven't gotten married and they have kids with each other and they still like kind of are living a lifestyle that's not very stable.
Right.
And so their parents will come in and hire me and they'll be like, my daughter had a baby with this person and he won't put the baby in a car seat. He leaves the baby in the apartment. Or, this 20-year-old kid shouldn't do any of those things, but at the same time,
Just because of the age, I guess.
yes, but we've got to help him. And so, but the resources out there aren't real great. Like, you can take a parenting class online, but that's really not going to help you as much as going to a counselor for 12 weeks and say, you don't just scream at your kids when they're naughty. You explain to them why they're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So we've really started encouraging, and even the court system right now, they have people take a 4-hour co-parenting class online just to help educate parents.
Yep, I know which one.
On how to do that. And they're also, a lot of the judges are encouraging what's called love and logic parenting. You can take it through churches. Some of the churches do it. And I think Family Support Services offers it also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's supposed to help younger parents or parents that are struggling in that vein of, because not every relationship will work out. But
Right.
no matter what, you are going to be that child's parent for 18 years and after.
Oh yeah, that'll
And
never
so that's
go
what
away.
I tell people too. I'm like, you get to make a decision today, because getting along is the most important thing you can do to show your child that you can do hard things as a grown-up and you can do hard things as kids, because they have to love both of their parents.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you one other thing that I really love in learning family law is just the way people talk to each other when they're angry. Like, they just text each other and everyone's like, look at these text messages, these are terrible. And so I encourage all my cases that are either high conflict litigation to use a co-parenting app. There's a lot of them out there. Our Family Wizard is one. AppClose co-parenting app is another one. But you can actually pay another parent. Like, let's say you're responsible for 50% of the child's medical bills and your partner is also. Mm-hmm. And you're responsible that day for taking the kid to the doctor. You have to pay $100. You can ask her for a $50 reimbursement in writing on this application, and she can just Venmo it to you, and there's proof that she paid it.
Oh, wow.
That cuts down a lot of conflict.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but that's what AppClose lets you do. They have an I Pay You feature. Some of the other apps don't. And there's also, you can do tone correctors. Like, some people just are angry. But our Family Wizard, I love the tone corrector, because I've got some,
cool.
We all have clients that were like, please be kind.
Yeah.
But at 6:00 at night and he's late and he hasn't picked the kids up, her tone is not kind. And so I'm like, just leave your auto tone corrector on, because that way you can ask, it is getting a little late and I'm hoping that you're on your way. Would you please advise? Versus, where in the world are you? You are such a junky, crummy dad, or whatever.
So in a way, it kind of like it just rewrites.
It's AI.
It is AI? Oh my gosh.
It's like AI. The app has AI built into it for a tone corrector.
That's amazing. AI is such a
But it also
crazy
is
thing.
frustrating, because I'm like, we should be able to do what we
Yeah.
learned in kindergarten and not be mean to each other.
Exactly.
But when people are fighting about their kids,
It's out the window.
it's almost like they lose sight. And that's why I recommend, I am a huge believer in therapeutic intervention.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need at least 6 to 8 sessions if you're going through a divorce with a licensed professional counselor to help you start to regulate yourself in a way, because no one can make you feel as bad as that person that you've loved more than anyone in the
Took
world.
like almost 6 months of therapy when we first separated, me and my ex. It helped a lot.
No, I'm telling you, we have to work on ourselves to be the best we can for ourselves and our kids and your ex-partner. They deserve the best of you too, whether you're married to them or not, whether you stayed with them or not. And I see such change whenever that happens. Sometimes it's not always the perfect pie in the sky, but you see blended families all the time getting along. Like, I have people all the time that are like, I gave my stepmom a bonus mom mug, and you want that for people. I mean, it really is healthy. It takes a village, and the more people that care and love on your kids,
Oh, yeah.
the better
It's
off
amazing.
you're going to be. And the healthier, and I tell people all the time too, forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. When you can forgive in family law, listen, I don't love you like I did, but I forgive you and I want to move forward. Let's manifest the good. Let's move
Exactly.
forward and make sure our kids become good people and good humans. And we don't let, because kids will manipulate the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Kids turn 13 and they're like, Mom,
They're smart.
Dad.
Yeah, they know.
You're right. Sadly, kids manipulate even younger. But unless parents are on the same page and co-parenting, you are going to have problems with children. And I see so much of it now as these kids are getting older. It's like they parallel parent. The parents are like, well, Dad bought me this, so then Mom will buy that, or Dad
Yeah,
bought me
that's
this.
smart.
And so parallel parenting isn't healthy either, because then you see kids becoming less empathetic. You see kids using manipulation as a tactic, not only with their parents, but with their friends and school and all sorts of things.
Stay with them for the rest of their.
I know, but what parents really want is for kids, you want your children to be good people
Yeah.
and not be manipulative, weird, get as much as I can from the person I can manipulate the most. That is a very unhealthy trait. They do not have a good, your life will be difficult if that is how you have managed it as a
yeah.
young person.
I was going to ask, do you feel like the court system has changed throughout the 20 years, or do you feel like it's more, I know we were talking about therapy like this, do you think it's more empathetic to taking classes, knowledge?
I think it's just now becoming more like that. I do think there are times when you just hear the facts and you're like, we've got to see what happens. You just got to give it time. But I also think there are situations where if you have, it depends on the conflict. And we, in the region that we're in, north of Lubbock, we do not have a lot of parenting facilitators or co-parenting facilitators. There's just a small handful because you have to be licensed.
Yeah.
And I wish that more therapists would go out and do it, but nobody likes it because you're dealing with people that are fighting. And so I really encourage certain therapists. I'm like, I think you'd be good at this. You are good at this. You should do more of this. And so the therapeutic community, I think, and we have a great, WT's great, Tech is great. They send lots of kids come out of there with counseling, lots of people come out with counseling. Dr. Lynn Jennings was a person that was really kind of instrumental too, and she still practices here in the region, but she helped so many of my CPS kids. She had a contract with the department and really helped kids. And she did trauma-based therapy, and so you also have to have that kind of resource for kids that have been in the system and have experienced trauma.
Do you think that could be offered in adult learning too?
Gosh, I wish it was that easy.
'Cause I know it's,
But you know, for adults, it's harder because even if a court ordered you to go, we see it frequently. A court will order them to go to therapy and then the person won't do it. What do you do about that? You can file a motion asking the judge to enforce it, but what is the judge gonna do? You didn't go to therapy, you bad girl, you bad boy.
Yeah.
It just, you hope and pray that they'll do it for themselves. And sometimes courts will force it. Like, they'll be like, listen, I'm gonna suspend access and visitation until you complete these classes or do these things, but it's rare. I mean, but I think that it's a case-by-case basis. And I also think that how we encourage our lawyers to help the clients, I'm pretty honest with clients on family cases, like let's say, pretend it's a divorce, and I love mediation. There's a really great mediator named Mike Sharpie. Like, he mediates a lot of our cases just because he's older, he's an older fella, like he understands life, and he's like, it's not about who wins, because everyone's losing, right? In a divorce, everyone's losing. Your kids are having to go two places, we're having to separate our house, you're having to divide your debt, you're having to divide everything. I mean, no one wins in these situations. It's a gross feeling. I tell people too, sometimes it's kind of like cancer. Like, divorce is like cancer. You gotta go through chemo, you gotta go through radiation, your hair's gonna fall out, you're gonna lose weight, and you're gonna feel yucky. But then after about a year or two of past it, you have healing. And you get to be okay. It's okay not to be okay, but you can't stay that way.
Yes.
But for example, Mr. Sharpie will come in and we prepare what they call marital inventories. So we kind of have an idea of what the marital estate looks like a house, 3 cars, blah, 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 retirement, da, da, da. And the court has to make what's called, the word fair is not in the family code. The word just and equitable division by the court is what's in the family code. So before you go to court and have a judge decide how your life's gonna look in the division of your assets, a lot of times we'll use a mediator like that person I mentioned, and we can come to an agreement, and a mediated settlement agreement keeps you from having to go to court, because that settlement agreement is then written into a decree and everybody signs it, and then you just go to the judge and say, please approve our mediated settlement agreement that we've put into our decree, and this is how we want to do it. You can do it with custody, like how you do your week on, week off, or some people do two days here, 2 days there, and then they alternate 3 days. So that way each parent gets kind of like a
What is that
weekend.
called again?
Mediation.
That's what me and my ex did.
I really think it's great. I think that I've seen the shift to it in the last 10 years, and I think it's really healthy. It does not happen in criminal cases, obviously, because that is a truly adversarial process between the state and someone who's been indicted or charged. But
versus having both sides trying to argue.
yeah, but with a mediator, you don't have to sit with your soon-to-be ex-husband. You sit with your lawyer. Your lawyer says, I don't think this is a bad deal. You are getting to keep the house. He's getting to keep his retirement. You're going to get to keep working. He's going to get to keep his retirement, but he doesn't get anything. He doesn't get any of the equity out of the house. So it's a spreadsheet. You're basically trying to keep everybody in the black and divide it in a way that's healthy. And I tell people all the time, you wouldn't even believe what people fight over. Like, it's,
The cat?
well, it's usually like decorations. Like, I want the Dallas Cowboy ornaments.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And you know what I usually tell my clients? We can spend the time here today, and you can pay me by the hour to argue that you want 6 of those ornaments and he wants 6 of those ornaments, and we're going to divide that set. Or you let him keep that set, you take the cookie jar that you really want, and just buy some new Dallas Cowboy ornaments, right?
Yeah.
It'll be cheaper.
Do you feel like it's like someone trying to get over someone else? Or you think it's
It just depends on the situation, and I think that's why family law is hard, is because a lot of times people think that if they can punish them through the family law system, that somehow they'll feel better. That's not gonna happen. Like I said before, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. The only way you're gonna feel better is by letting it go and relieving yourself of that problem. And do the lawyers make money off people fighting? Absolutely. But we don't, I mean, from a judicial standpoint, I would prefer people mediate things and bring me a settlement agreement that they can live with. They might not like it, but they can live with it so I can approve it and they can move on with their lives and hopefully be friends still. Because if you have kids with somebody, you need each other. It is not an easy world we live in.
You're gonna be a part of each other's lives forever.
Yeah, you can either make or break the future. And getting along, I mean, you don't have to like the person, but you gotta get along.
Oh, yeah.
The kids sounds all right.
Yeah, they know, it's something's wrong.
I
It's
know,
crazy.
I know.
You got a straight face, they're like, what's wrong? And you're like, I didn't do anything, what do you mean?
They feel that.
It's so crazy.
I know, it's the sad reality, but again, seeking resources to help it is all you can do.
Exactly.
Because this is the sad part of life. There are things in life that are sad. Criminal cases are sad. CPS cases can be sad. I mean, I wish there was a law that you could practice that was always happy, but there's really not. Lawyers deal with problems that are legal.
Yeah.
I mean, this court also handles probate. This court will handle some probate cases, not a ton, but it also handles civil cases. I think it's 325,000 is what the limit is, like car accidents and things like that, which that's also still a problem. No one likes to have car wrecks, but you want to make sure your insurance company pays and you get your car fixed.
Yeah.
And going to court is sometimes inevitable. They mediate those cases too sometimes, like what's fair. And as far as probate's concerned, I always call probate as family law for dead people. I know that's kind of a sad way to look at it, but you have grandma and grandpa, they've lived in this house forever. Grandpa passes, so grandma has everything, and then grandma passes away, and then all the kids are fighting over what was in the house. I know, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm doing a divorce, but between siblings, you know?
Yeah. Man.
But I mean, do you see what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah.
and a lot of people will come and talk to you about it, and I'm like, this is really your best case scenario. And some people are like, I don't even want to be involved in it. And then some people choose not to, you know?
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Because it costs money. I mean, to probate, but that's why I say everybody should go to a lawyer, get a will. Everybody should have a power of attorney. They should have an advance directive. So if something were to happen to you, no one thinks about the worst things.
Yeah.
But you don't know, a bus could hit you tomorrow. And then your brother and sister are fighting over your guitars and your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing anybody wants.
I was gonna ask, if you get elected, what would you want to fix from your local judicial system? Is there anything along the line?
I think Judge Anderson, and I love Judge Martindale. He is county court at law judge number 2. I respect him a lot. I enjoy being in his court. I want to keep things moving. I want to keep things positive. My vision is to hopefully do just as good a job as Judge Anderson and maybe better. I'm never saying that there's not room for improvement, you know? I'd really like to, if there's a need for it, Potter County has a veterans court. I would love to be able to be helpful in implementing a veterans court, because Judge Martindale does a mental health court where if you could successfully complete a year to 18 months of mental health treatment, that your case gets dismissed. I feel like there is a number of veterans that have, but the resources are there, they just might not be utilizing them. But if you can successfully complete it, and I represented a veteran in Potter County, and he went through the program and did great. But it was just what he needed. But we don't have one in Randall County, so I think that's something that I would like to see. Anything that we can do to make a difference, to keep people out of prison and moving in life and being productive citizens is what we need to do. And it takes the whole village. It takes the judges, it takes the attorneys, it takes the prosecutors, it takes the litigants themselves making decisions that are positive.
It seems like, by just looking at various numbers of what's going on right now, and what, hopefully you soon to be elected to do, is maintain this same atmosphere, you know, and like Drake said, I mean, as you've been in there, and like, it's very little things that you see that you will actually reach out in different avenues and change, but you, with great courage going into this, knowing that you will be able to maintain these things, but you know that you have other things that you could probably bring out, like that veteran thing.
A veteran court, yes.
Yeah, add on to it and everything. But what's going on in you guys' office right now is very sufficient to the community. Us in Randall County, we have no problem with how things being manufactured throughout the community as far as fairness and everything.
Well, and just maintaining that decorum for justice is so huge. And making sure people's cases don't take forever. Like, nobody wants to have stuff just sitting on the docket dockets. And there still is such a backlog from COVID. I think we will see that for some time. I know at least in the felony courts, they still, just a year ago, I tried a murder case where I represented the defendant, and it was in Potter County because I was still doing some of those appointments because the judges, if they call you, you do it. I mean, it's not like you're going to say, no, I don't want that work because that's disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they called me and they were like, we want you to do this case, and another lawyer and I did it because it was a hard one. And he'd been incarcerated for 3 years, and I'd been to the jail multiple times, but I mean, living in jail for 3 years does a lot to a man. And ultimately, he was convicted, and I did beat the recommendation from the state, so I feel like I served him well. He's gonna do less time than what he would have done had he pled, which, I mean, in my mind, that's a win.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know, so getting 35 years when they offered you 50, but I mean, he was homeless, and the person that he had been accused of murdering was homeless also. It was over by the Salvation Army. It was just a tragic deal.
No.
Yeah, a lot of them don't, if they don't get there in time, a lot of the homeless have to sleep outside. And so there's a bunch of cars that people will park in, and there's some drugs and alcohol that does happen. And I think it was a situation that just, stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it was a fight. It was a fight gone wrong, and ultimately, the person he fought with passed, and it's just it's tragic because no life. I mean, life is precious. No matter where you are or who you are, I think God's purpose for everyone is it's there. But getting to know him in that 3 years, preparing for his trial, it was a really good experience in seeing the basic nature of humanity. Like he wanted to have his day. He wanted to have his day in court. He felt like it wasn't what he intended to do, but ultimately that's what happened. But the way the law works is that if you are acting in a way that causes the death of another, and you could have stopped or you could have done something different, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so I did ask for a lesser included, which means aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, like his fists were the deadly weapon because it was a fist fight. But he said, I don't want, clients get to make that decision. I asked for the lesser included, hoping that the jury might give in a 2 to 20 because aggravated assault with a deadly weapon is a charge that carries 2 to 20 as opposed to 5 to 99, which is murder, right? And I explained to him, this is what I think we should do, but your client gets to make that decision. And so I had him sit and not with the jury, but I had him sit and sworn in and tell the judge, I don't want to give the jury an out to still punish me because he really was hopeful that the jury would acquit him. Does that make
You got a
sense?
chance to see this guy sober.
Yeah. And part of it's scary, part of it's amazing, but it's just such an incredible part of being a lawyer and having this life and being blessed with this job that, I mean, so many people have never seen that, And I still pray for him. I pray all the time, just that his family's not, for his family and for all the things, and for the person that passed. Like you pray for that person too, who hadn't seen his family in 20 years, but they showed up and were sad that happened,
Even though that you was called out to represent him, there's a lot of attorneys, I believe, would have been like biased, like, I'm not gonna get mine for this guy.
But you have to. That's what we swear to do. We take an oath to do what's called due diligence. And due diligence for me is making sure I advocate for my clients in the most appropriate legal way I can. I would never do anything wrong. I would never suborn perjury. You're never supposed to put someone on the stand to lie. That's unethical. I mean, I'm sure there are lawyers that have done it, but I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I care about my license. I got to work for the next 20 years because I got 4 kids to put through school. I don't want to ever be in trouble like that. I mean, there are times too where it's like, it's a hard job, but I think no matter what job you're doing, there's going to be pluses and minuses. There's going to be days that are difficult. There's going to be days that are real good. I mean, I know Judge Anderson, I've done a couple adoptions in his court, and those are really happy days. This family that has found a little foster baby that they want to make part of the baby grew in their heart, not in their body, right? And so I love adoptions, and I've got some coming up, and I'm super excited.
That's awesome.
I know, so I mean, and I'm also really glad when I can finally give people finality. So I feel like I had a divorce in Dalhart that lasted 3 years, and I just felt so bad, but they just had a lot of stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it took so long too, because those smaller counties and the outlying regions, their judges don't have, because they serve multiple counties, but some of the judges have 5 counties they serve. So your ability to get court dates are smaller than like here in Randall County Court at 1, you are there all day. You're not having to drive around to 5 different counties for criminal cases, dockets for family law and stuff like that. So the outlying counties, it's not that I don't like to practice out there, those cases just take longer and are a lot more work, because then I have to drive to Dumas or Dalhart or, where the courthouse
Does
is.
Randall, like, or those smaller counties, do they go to one centralized, or do they have their own little courthouse, I guess, within?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. Every county has, and then I'm probably going to talk about other stuff because it's kind of boring. I know it's not that exciting, but in the state of Texas, there's 254 counties. Each county has a county seat and courthouse. Majority of them do, right? There's some that are so small that I think
Even if the city have one, the town have one stoplight?
from what I understand, yes. Like, I mean, I know that, for example, Panhandle is Carson County, Pampa's Grade County. You have Canadian is Lipscomb County. You've got Wheeler County, and then you've got, the Humboldt Judicial District has, I think, 5 or 6 counties that Judge Raby, it used to be Judge Stuart Messer, but Judge Raby manages. And then in Gray County, it's the new district judges, he was the DA, but it's Franklin McDonough, so he has Wheeler, Lipscomb, Gray. I mean, God bless him, like,
Yes.
I've known him a long time because I represented defendants in that jurisdiction as well as did divorces and family cases there. But Judge Vanderpool retired, so they had an election and he won. But I mean, he's going to be busy, and I mean, and just like Judge Messer, when he retired, like he'd been on the bench for 30 years and Judge Raby took over. And Judge Raby's younger, and I love Messer and Raby, but Messer will still come back on certain cases because Judge Raby is conflicted out. But those counties, I mean, that's a lot of litigation.
Yes.
In those areas. And so when Randall County's growing so fast,
Yes, we are.
we don't have a sole district judge for Randall County. All of our judges are dual district. Like Judge Estevez is Potter Randall. Judge Frausto, who's amazing, is Potter Randall. And Judge Johnson is Potter Randall, and she manages Armstrong County.
Oh, man.
So our 3 district judges in Randall County do all that work.
Yes.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
So and in Potter County, it's very similar. You have a county court at law judge 1, which is Judge Weaver, then you have a county court at law judge 2, which is Judge Hand, and then you have your district judges. The 108th district judge and the 320th district judge are solely Potter County judges because Potter's the older county and it used to be the most populous, but now Potter's kind of shrinking,
That's a study expanding from this.
You see a lot of growth south, but you see some growth north too, now that Amazon's out there.
Yes.
But Estevez, Johnson, and Frausto all have to go help Potter too, because they have 2 judges there, their sole districts are Potter. So you have, it's kind of, everybody's supposed to be helping our counties manage the litigation loads, whether it's criminal, probate, family, all of it. So it's really kind of interesting, and a lot of people don't know about it, and that's why it's exciting. I know I say it's boring, but it's not boring to me. I love it because, you can effectuate change, and I think how the judges get along with each other is important, as well as how we help each other through the counties, because we're kind of unique. Like, we have a line. Potter and Randall has this line, and so a lot of times they'll be like, sometimes they're like, we're not going to deal with it because it's Potter, but they should be helping because it's,
Yeah.
I mean, just the other day, they had that chase over by Trade Winds, the chase.
Yes,
That big
I
chase,
heard
and
about that.
they put all the schools in lockdown.
Yeah.
We were on
I
lockdown.
had to deal with that with my kids. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
man.
it's scary. That's some scary stuff that happens.
It is.
But those are the kind of people you don't want on the streets. They steal a car and they do a 130-mile chase with the police. Those people should be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And people tend to hate on the system, and we forget that those are the kind of people that are put away. Like, it's not like, I don't know.
You know what this old saying was? The scar's only small unless it's on your face, right? So
Yeah.
unless you've been victimized,
Yeah, exactly.
it may or may not matter to you. But that's why I think increasing awareness is important, that we should all care about our communities. We should all care about our safety, whether you're the doctor that had his firearm stolen out of his glove box, or whether you're a lady that parked your car at the Walgreens and left your purse inside and someone stole it. I mean, no one wants to have to constantly worry about safety.
Yeah.
Oh, and I feel like we're pretty lucky. Amarillo, it is a relatively safe place to live. I mean,
Yes, it is. It is.
I have a sister that lives in Dallas, or not Dallas, but in Houston, and then another one that lives in Austin.
They're
And-
crazy over there.
Oh, well, and bless her heart, she's like, I called the police about this crazy person that was like coming into their store. She like works at a biomedical wellness clinic.
Oh, wow.
And she said, well, no one's available to come take your report. You can go online. And she's like, but the guy's still out there. What do we do? And they're like, well, just lock your door.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that means, but you know, they kind of defunded police in Austin.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to find a healthy balance right now. But if you don't have officers, then you have problems like that.
Well,
And
it's
that
just
can be
like-
scary for people.
But in Amarillo, that same call was made, it'll be addressed.
Well, 99% of the time, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like our southwest side of town is completely manned very well, and we actually just got, they actually have official DWI squads now, which I think keeps our streets safer.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to be the guy driving home late at night with from the hospital seeing your mother and then get hit and you're the sole breadwinner for your wife and 5 kids.
Yeah, someone had, came to my store, and they were obviously drunk, trying to get me to sell some more liquor or whatever, and I turned them down.
Yeah, you have to.
2 days later, 2 other ladies that was in there with us, they come back and tell me, remember that lady that came here? And it made me remember when he said that we have these certain officers around doing these certain jobs now. They say she got arrested when she left the store for a DWI.
Oh, see, well, I mean, even right next door, have you seen that the level, there's been multiple accidents here right from Fuzzies.
Yes, I've seen some of
I can see that.
there's been some like off that house I drove into like last month or 2 weeks ago off Water, 34th. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that house.
Yeah.
Is it 34th and Washington?
34th and Tyler, something like that. I think that was the DW.
Yeah, nobody can afford to have that happen. Like, it's not like
Yeah,
anybody
it's-
has money just laying around to fix your house.
Exactly. It's still just right.
But you know what? All we can do is the best we can. We
Yeah.
ask that our district, Lacey Miller is gonna be the new district attorney in Randall County because Robert Love is retiring. I think she's been in the office for a really long time. I think she'll be a good addition. I think she's got good people that work in her office. I mean, I feel very positive about Randall County's future and I wanna make it safer and I wanna make it better. And I don't want to say make Randall County great again because that's just cheesy, but I want Randall County to always be great because it has been good.
Yes, we have been wonderful. You guys have been doing a great job. Totally, you guys have been doing a great job.
Well, thanks, and I'm looking forward to getting the election over with, so that way I can start the work and hopefully and prayerfully get the votes of people and win.
Well, with that, I just want to say it's been such a pleasure interviewing you. You're awesome.
Thank you so much.